Hey, Wes, do you have a take on Fluff?
Fluff, like marshmallow fluff.
You like marshmallow Fluff? Do you have a take on it? Do you have thoughts on it?
I suppose it's marginally better than regular marshmallows.
Marginally? I mean,
Marginally, I'm not a big marshmallow fan. Like my whole family loves the Easter candy that's like 100% marshmallow,
Peeps?
and I think that's just yeah. That I think those are the most disgusting thing of all time. But yeah, I guess fluff's a little bit better.
Wow. Okay. I don't didn't know there was so much
So
negativity.
is that
Yeah, it's been a problem, man. It's been a real problem. People are really just. I mean, I feel like everyone's turning their back on me. People are turning their back on the American way. You know, I know this is a politically divisive topic, but man, Fluffernutter is maybe one of the world's greatest sandwiches of all time. You know, you can get expensive roast beef. You can get expensive bologna. I can't believe I just said expensive bologna. I don't think there's such a thing. But man, nothing's better than
everything?
Fluffernutter.
Everything's expensive right now, right, Paul? Even bologna.
Right on. Well, I'm glad I stocked up on ramen noodles before the pandemic hit. I've got ramen noodles for days, for years, really, specifically. But with that important topic out of the way, Wes, let's get this show started.
Let's do it.
This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday. Not this Monday, though, but this West Day for sure. Westness Day. It's a great day. And every Friday right here on PSVR Without Parole, 6 p.m. Eastern. We do it live because that's what we're doing right now. It's live. We're hanging out with you guys. We want to hear all your thoughts on Fluff specifically. This shit's important, man. Like, if we don't talk about it, who's going to talk about it? But fortunately, we've got all sorts of great stuff to talk about here on the number one PSVR podcast in the world. Did you know that, Wes? This is the number one PSVR podcast in the world. It's also like the only one, but we're the number one by default.
Actually, that's how I end all of my emails to developers. Wes Dillon, co-host PSVR Without Parole Gamescast, the number one PSVR Gamescast in the world.
And to my right, Wes Dillon from our friends over at Virtual Strangers, doing God's work over there, playing with Tiffany Tolman so we don't have to. Dude, what is happening in the land of Virtual Strangers this week?
Well, man, a lot of scrambling to kind of figure out what to do because we're on the heels now of the Sony thing, right? That's come and gone. We're on the heels of Mod Month, where there was a new PCVR mod coming out every week. That's come and gone. So it's just kind of like, well, what do we do? What do we do? So luckily, we've come up with a pretty good game plan for tonight as Beanstalker. I don't know if you're familiar with Beanstalker, but it's has up until now been an early access title, a very good one on Steam. Nice roguelike multiplayer, very deep gameplay loop. Anyway, just came into full release. So we're going to split stream that tonight. We're going to give away some copies. And then we're going to take a look at Paradox of Hope, which is another title. This one not out yet, but a lot of our colleagues on YouTube are raving about it. And looking forward to getting in there directly after the show tonight and giving that one a look.
Does Beanstalker have anything to do with climbing a beanstalk?
It is absolutely the best climbing game I've ever played in VR. But it's not just about climbing. It's procedurally generated vines, beanstalk that you climb. But you go out on missions to collect resources to craft with, and basically as you go, you unlock recipes and things that you can craft, and unlock new levels that you can go to. And the cool thing about it is I think you can play with up to like 3 or 4 friends. So you guys can all go out together on these huge, sprawling beanstalks. It's actually a lot better than the concept sounds. It's really fun.
This is what we have to look forward to on PSVR 2, kids. Beanstalkers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's not just about collecting and crafting. I mean, there's enemies. You craft weapons. I mean, there's a lot of different. It takes from a lot of different genres and kind of mashes it all together into a pretty impressive game.
We got Waleed in the chat. Waleed is now a game cat. Specifically, a White Tiger with the Canadian $5 tip says, "Missed you guys. Some info I gathered. Alana Pierce said she has played Horizon VR and is very impressed. Epic is making a Fortnite first-person shooter mode. Okay, I knew the Alana Pierce stuff, and that's awesome. It does sound like Horizon VR. Call of the Mountain was what they was Shuhei and was it Greg Rice? God, I always forget Greg's name. They were pulling people in during GDC into hotel rooms, and I just love picturing it as if they're just pulling random people into rooms and then shoving a PSVR headset on them like unwillingly, and then starting a game, and everyone goes, "What's happening? What's happening?" Oh, this is cool. This is cool, man. Right? Which means, Wes, you and I we need to start showing up at GDCs and wandering the halls and looking very susceptible, just very innocent, and keep our defenses down. So if anybody wants to pull us in the hotel rooms, just let whatever happen.
Well, that's something I typically do locally here anyway. So, I mean, I wouldn't exactly be out of my element. Let me ask you, Brian, do you think that they pulled her in there and put her in like the river thing and she's just such a VR noob that she was blown away by it? Or do you think that she actually got to play like the Horizon campaign?
I don't know, man. I don't know. You got to wonder. You got to wonder what's going on because honestly, like, as cool as that river raft section looks, and I don't know why we're not playing Horizon footage right now instead of, the rec room racing, rec rally. This is why we need a producer. Roots, what are you doing? Is Roots around? Can we just borrow Roots for a couple minutes? But I do feel like, I mean, like, whenever I'm sitting in a VR game, I've got to be sitting in real life. Like, it just doesn't feel right otherwise, right? And so, so I guess it all really depends on people's comfort level with VR. It's like, hey, do you want to play something standing up? Do you want to play something sitting? Who knows? Maybe they had something for people to run around and jump and climb, and maybe there was a little portion of both for people to check out. Because as beautiful as, the river rafting section looks, I'm kind of over not doing things in VR. No matter how beautiful it is, if you just make me sit there and stare at stuff, I lose interest by the second. You got to let me play. And so I don't think a lot of these people would walk away so impressed if they weren't like, "Oh wow, look at what I can do! Look at all this cool stuff!" I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you hear things coming out of there like, this was like experiencing VR for the first time all over again. Now, I mean, I guess there's multiple ways you could take that because the first time a lot of people experienced VR was on some kind of a linear thing where you don't do much. But I tend to believe that they meant that it was a profound experience and that they were shockingly surprised at just how immersive it was. So I think that more than likely I have a theory. I think the trailer makes it look like this river rafting thing is actually how the intro of the game goes. So I think that we'll all get to do the river thing, and then at the end of it, we'll get kicked into the regular game. But I think there's probably an option in the menu that allows you to just play that section and then, end it for demo purposes.
Guys, I see a couple comments says the sound is low. I saw from Alex there, and let me know if there's anything specifically that needs to be adjusted. If it's just on one end or both ends or what's going on. Darth Vader with the $2 tip says, "Wes, are you on Tatooine?"
No, I think I'm in Blood and Truth today. Yeah, this is Blood and Truth.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like the
First
early
stage,
level.
right?
Yeah.
Nice. And next tip comes from. Hold on a second. Arian, whose name I think I always pronounce wrong, so we're going to go with Orion or Avrion. Avrion sounds sexy. With the 35 cubic Sarconia says, "When you said we should expect more on PSVR 2 during Summer Game Fest, do you mean during the opening night this week or anytime until the end of August?" Did I say
yes?
Like, I don't. if I said something like oh, expect more soon, like that was probably like I'm expecting to see more soon. It's not like I have like concrete facts. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what's going to happen, and on this day they're going to reveal this trailer for this thing. I know some PSVR 2 stuff that hasn't like gotten out there, but not a ton, to be honest with you. So you guys' surprise will be my guys' surprise. I think. Oh, and just by the way, guys, the if you see down there, the Patreon scroll is under construction. It's not working right. I can't figure out how to get the full Patreon scroll to work right. And so I just want, shout out to everybody whose name is not going by on that list. I apologize. I will get it fixed, I swear. But man, the solutions are not easy for some reason. Hey, we were asked in the chat and somebody said something about it. I need to copy and paste these things. What's up, Tornado? Are you going to play Among Us VR when it comes out, Wes?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're playing, as has been the case with so many popular gaming franchises, my first Among Us experience will be in VR. But no, man, Shell Games are awesome. And all of their work has been quality up to this point. So I don't see this one being any different. I'm absolutely going to check it out.
Yeah, now this is a game that I don't have too much love for on the flat screen. But yeah, in first person VR with friends, I am all about. But just watching other people play the flat screen version when it first came out, when it first went viral, basically, it was a lot of fun to watch that. And so hopefully it'll be fun for you guys to watch us play Among Us VR. Again, it's it does seem like Shell Games is trying to quietly cancel the PSVR 1 version, so don't expect that on PSVR 1. The only thing they're saying about PSVR at all right now is to expect it. Why are you sitting on my arm? Like, why is this a thing? God, she doesn't pay attention to me all day, and then GAMESCAST comes around and she's like, but I want to be there too. Okay. So, but yeah, and then they said it'll be there at the launch of PSVR 2. So that might be the first time I get a chance to play it. I could certainly play it on Quest. I play Walkabout on Quest. I could play Among Us on Quest. All right, are you happy now? Are you happy? You happy? She seems happy. She's purring. She doesn't like when I hold her either. All right. Wes, we got a lot of shit to talk about, man. Maybe we should get the ball rolling.
We do.
After I tell people to make sure you join our Discord, click the link in the description below. That's where all the coolest cats hang out. And if you want your name on that broken list that scrolls over and over, it's not a great selling point today. Support us over on patreon.com/withoutparolegames for just $3 or more every month. And I swear to you, exclusive video content is coming. I do the monthly AMAs, which is fun, but we will be getting the Why We Love videos up as well. So please stay tuned for that. And don't forget to subscribe to Wes either.
You know what I did last night, Brian? Sorry to step on your housekeeping here.
No,
I too am guilty of this. Endlessly promising my patrons exclusive content, but never giving it to them. So yesterday, I went. I was just in my own time restarting No Man's Sky. I want to become reacquainted with it, right? Because I want to do this Leviathan thing. It looks really cool. So I started a whole new game. I didn't do the expedition. I just did a brand new game on No Man's Sky. And just on a whim, I started a stream, unlisted stream, posted the link on Patreon. Boom, exclusive content. So I felt really good about finally, after months of promises, getting some content out there. And it was just something as simple as the basic training part of No Man's Sky. They watched me get off the planet.
Don't bury the lead here, Wes. We need your updated impressions on No Man's Sky now that you've played it recently. Oh,
it's just as intimidating.
And if it's
intimidating as it always was.
If it's not positive, we need to move on as fast as possible. People don't like when we're negative about No Man's Sky here. They only like to hear good things about No Man's Sky.
Well, I could say this. I legitimately want to play it more. So, and I'm going to. And we're going to cover it. I think next week we're going to do Leviathan update on 1 week from the night. So,
I'm going to totally steal your idea. I'm also going to randomly play No Man's Sky live for the Patreon supporters.
Boom.
See what happens when
There
you
you
bring
go.
up ideas here? I just fucking steal them. And hopefully everybody knows our thoughts on No Man's Sky. That like basically neither Wes or I have played it enough to form like really concrete opinions, and that we both really do want to play it more. So the 30 hours I put into it is not enough, and so I'm definitely, and no, I don't want to play the expedition, Dan Kiefer. Like I've tried to jump into expeditions, and I'm like, you still need to know the core basics on how to play the game, and I'm sitting there going, so many buttons. What do I do to do anything? So I need to start from scratch too. Super cool video, bro, with the $5 tip says, I basically bought all the PSVR 1 library during sales, but ain't played most. You think it won't even be worth coming back to them once PSVR 2 comes out? Wes, here's what I love about GamesCast Live and all the cats out there. Your comments and your questions in the chat are better than anything we had planned for you. So I don't mind sticking around and talking about this a little bit. Do you think it won't be worth going back to PSVR 1 games? All these people have bought a ton of games during the sale. They've stocked up. They've made their backlog ginormous. But no one's going to get a chance to play all these games before PSVR 2 comes out. Do you think people are going to want to go back to PSVR 1 games once PSVR 2 is here?
Well, obviously, it depends on which games that you picked up, but yeah, I think it's not just hyperbole when I say that the PlayStation VR 1 catalog remains to this day the very best catalog in VR. It's because there are so many must-play games. Now, obviously, if we were going by quantity, Steam has thousands of games on it, and a lot of them are decent. But if you're talking about must-plays, PSVR 1 is where it's at. There are so many games on there that that I'll never stop playing. I'll never quit going back to. And to be honest, a good portion of my excitement for PSVR 2 is in the hopes that we could get remakes for a lot of my favorite PSVR 1 games because they're that good and I don't want to move on from them. Although I would like to see, graphical updates in some and, control updates in others. But yeah, I think that there are certainly titles, your Farpoints, your Astrobots that you're going to want to come back to in the next gen. And I'm hoping that you can do so seamlessly without having to break out your old headset.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, and I totally heard every word you said. It definitely, I think it's going to come down to a convenience thing more than anything else. I think there's so many great PSVR 1 games that sort of never got the love they deserved to begin with. And so hopefully these developers are still around and that they're able to bring their game into PSVR 2 with a few enhancements, a few control upgrades, a few graphical, a little bit of graphical polish, update it for 4K, and finally give these games the love they deserve. My only warning for people, I saw somebody leave a comment earlier today saying, should I just sell my PSVR 1 headset? It looks like development has moved on to PSVR 2 pretty much across the board. And I'm going to say, if there's any hope for backwards compatibility, that you should hold on to most of your stuff. Maybe you can sell the headset, but like the easiest form of backwards compatibility that Sony could offer right now is using the cameras in the PSVR 2 headset to track the light from Move controllers or the DualShock 4. So like even if you're thinking of getting rid of your PSVR 1, I would say still hold on to all your accessories because they could make backwards compatibility even more integrated into PSVR 2 by doing some remapping stuff and whatever, working some magic with the Sense controllers. But if they take the easiest route, you may just have to use your old hardware. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think we're gonna have a hard time going back to PSVR 1 games when PSVR 2 is out, especially at first. I think the wow factor is just gonna be through the roof. I think we're gonna be like, holy crap, look how amazing Horizon looks. Look, Village is so much better than Resident Evil 7 graphically, and look, we have hands in the game and all this stuff. And going back to some of the older PSVR 1 games is gonna feel pretty antiquated. I'm sure after a little while, even like using Move controllers will feel antiquated just because we're like, oh, you have to hold a move button down and point. It's like, how ridiculous is this? So yeah, I think it might be hard to go back to them. So hopefully they all get a little bit of love. And sorry for leaving in the middle of the conversation, Wes, but my coffee cup was empty, and you know that I just can't function without a full cup of coffee.
I understand completely, Brian. But yeah, I agree. You know, the way Oculus kind of tackled that when they moved from external tracking to internal is that they came ready on day one with this kind of emulation software, so that the entire catalog just worked automatically through this kind of patch that they put into their client. Hopefully we see something like that from Sony, but if not, I think these kind of half measures you just described would be a good, a good way to placate a lot of people who really seem to want backward compatibility. So yeah, I think it's possible that that like you said, that they could use the onboard cameras to track the lights. It would be kind of hard to do it on a DualShock, but certainly with moves and the aim controller, that seems more than feasible. So I think we could see some limited support like that. But even if we don't, I mean, again, the majority of the catalog I probably won't want to come back to, but I'll never stop playing Farpoint. I'll never stop playing Astrobot. I'll never stop playing Rush of Blood. Those games are just going to be staples, I think, forever for me, just because I love them so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, we better get a PSVR 2 upgrade for Rush of Blood, because that game is so good, and the compatibility issues it has certainly ruins it a little bit right now. We got Dutch Zero DJ with the 10 euros in the chat. Did not leave a comment or a question, so if you do have one that you want to throw up there, man, we'll have you covered. And we also have Wally does now a GameCat. Rare, specifically White Tiger with the Canadian $2 tip, says, when will you record Sacred Symbols? Best of luck. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm recording with Colin Moriarty's on his Sacred Symbols Plus podcast. We're recording next week. I don't know what his schedule is in terms of how long it takes from after recording for it to go live on his Patreon. But that's a thing, man. That's a thing, and I'm I mean, ridiculously honored to be asked to do it, and it's all because of you guys. A lot of Sacred Symbols, or a lot of Last Stand Media viewers, are GameCats, and when he basically reached out and said, "Hey, who should I talk to about PSVR 1?" you guys all said Brian, and so to get an email in my inbox from Colin Moriarty was a pretty special day, man. Because obviously I'm a big fan. All right, man.
Yeah, Brian, aka Triangle, right? Isn't that what we established on Friday? That of the Sacred Symbols, you're the Triangle.
Oh, I'm the of the Sacred Symbols. That's right. That's right. I'm the inventory.
Right. Right. I'm the action button. Right, no, but I think I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I think there was some PSVR 2 talk on Sacred Symbols earlier today, if I'm not mistaken. It's in the tagline anyway.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of YouTube stuff, or a lot of even the content creators that I absolutely love, like Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty and Ryan Clements, whatever. The Beyond crew was like my whole life at one point, long before I started doing this stuff. And the fact that I can't even keep up with what they're doing on a regular basis kind of sucks. But it's pretty cool stuff, though. Pretty cool stuff. Hey guys, don't forget to click the like button. I gotta be Miles for like 2 seconds. Don't forget to click the like button, because we want to support the YouTube algorithm that gets this video out to as many viewers as possible, and it really does help. It's not something that I usually go to bat for, but Miles is teaching me the ways of YouTube. I've only been doing this for 7 years and still don't know how any of it works. Chairface says, whatever happened to humanity for PSVR 1? Well, that's certainly an interesting question, don't you think, Wes? The funny thing is that maybe we'll be seeing it at some point soon. I don't know if that's the case or not, but Tetsuya Mizuguchi was just interviewed recently regarding the PSVR 2, and he says he's very interested. How much do we care about Tetsuya Mizuguchi's interest in PSVR 2, Wes?
Well, I care about it quite a bit, actually, and it's not because of humanity. That just looked weird to me, and I really couldn't care either way about that one. But unless I'm mistaken, and I'm going completely from memory here, we saw similar stories to this 3 months ago, 6 months ago, something like that, where Mizuguchi was expressing interest in doing another VR game, and as I recall, there were other context clues that made it sound like it was going to be something along the lines of Res, if not even a Res sequel. And Res Infinite, being the classic that it is, it's still one of my favorite games, one of my go-tos when I don't know what I should be playing. I just hop in the Res and play a level or two. The prospect of getting a newly developed from scratch Res captivates me. I hope so much that this happens. So yeah, I care quite a bit, honestly. And to be honest, I think he's playing coy. I think that this game is probably already under development. It probably isn't exclusive to VR, but I think what he's saying here is I would like to support PSVR 2 with my unannounced title that I can't talk about.
Interesting. I like that. Nice workaround for any embargoes or NDAs that you're under. To me, Tetsuya Mizuguchi games have always sort of been about the visual spectacle. When you're playing something like Luminous, which is very much a Tetris clone, or you're playing Tetris, which is very much Tetris, or even when you're playing Res, the VR aspect of it is usually the visuals that are flying at you, and the particle effects and the explosions and the firework motif. Right there they go in the trailer as I say it, and to me, as great as that is, and as special as that feels in VR, I would like to see a game that was actually designed from the ground up for VR, which I think is exactly what you were saying, that relies on something a little bit more than the visual spectacle. Be like, sure, give us explosions left and right, give us particle effects like spraying in our face. That's all good. But like, I want to see like what a game created for VR could be from him and that team. I think it'd be good stuff.
One of the first things that came to my mind when I started thinking about practical applications of eye tracking in VR was Res, because as you know, you have an option of how to aim in that game, right? Mm-hmm. You can use head-based aiming, you can use controller-based aiming. What if they gave us a PSVR 2 version of the original Res, but it used eye-based aiming, and you're just looking around with your eyes and targeting the enemies? I think that would be pretty cool.
That feels like cheating to me. It feels like just like I'm just going to paint everything as best as I possibly can. I think that's cool.
It's about the journey, not the destination, man. And again, you nailed it. These games are more about the audio-visual spectacle anyway. I think, a lot of people, I've heard Res even referred to the VR version as a religious experience for some people. I wouldn't quite go that far, but you do kind of get into that zone, right? And I think being able to put the controllers down almost completely would be a good way, to kind of be immersed and kind of further, reach that kind of zone, that Zen state that we all get playing these sorts of games.
Chairface in the chat says, who else was sprayed in the face? Somebody's been watching Virtual Strangers.
Absolutely. I'm going to corrupt your entire community, Brian, one by one.
I've been doing it for 7 years straight, man. It's like, I think I delivered them to you pre-corrupted, if that helps at all. Chairface says, sorry, wrong stream. So yeah, man, always interested. Like I said in PSVR this week, it's always interesting to hear that the people who are making the games you want to play are interested in the hardware that you want to play them on. That's always reassuring, because you and I were talking before the show that the rumors currently going around right now about Hideo Kojima. Is that his horror game is not going to be a PSVR 2 game, as we all sort of expected. In fact, it might even be an Xbox exclusive, and so that's the exact opposite of this Tetsuya Mizuguchi story. And man, if the rumor was that instead he was making a PSVR 2 horror game, I mean, that would have been the headline today, hands down. It doesn't matter what else we have to talk about. Hideo Kojima making a PSVR 2 horror game. That's newsworthy to me.
You know what's interesting is that leaker, that so-called insider guy that's putting this info out about Kojima-san.
Nice.
His Twitter banner is the abandoned thing, like the abandoned screenshot, like the promo thing, which I found very interesting.
So, which leads me to believe that maybe he knows something about Abandoned, because he'd be the only one, including the developers of Abandoned, who know anything about Abandoned. Because I think at this point, we're all pretty sure that there's nothing going on over there at Blue Box Studios. Hassan Karaman seems like he might be totally full of shit, and that game doesn't exist in any way, shape, or form. But we shall see. If it's a PSVR 2 game, though, I'm back on. I'm back on board, man, because I love this. I love this conspiracy theory. I love everything surrounding Abandoned, even if it doesn't turn out to be a game at all. I've enjoyed the ride so much. People getting mad about it, I'm like, who cares, man? Just enjoy the ride. We don't get video game stories like this anymore. This shit's fun.
Maybe we'll learn more tomorrow.
Maybe. Speaking of tomorrow, Wes. That was a good segue. Less of a good segue when you point it out. But we're gonna be streaming over here on PSVR without Parole. And you're gonna be streaming some stuff over on Virtual Strangers too. Like I don't want to. No, you're not streaming anything. No,
not tomorrow. I'll probably be here. Most likely, I have to obviously check the schedule and make sure I'm clear all day because there's shit going on literally all day. Right. I will be here for at least some of it, probably all of it. But yeah, nothing going on my channel tomorrow. I think Eric over on the Q2C VR Gamer, I think he's going to do the upload thing early in the morning. So, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, here, let me change trailers then. Boom. There we go. Now we got a nice one playing.
What's up? Nathy joining the chat. What's up, Nathy? Welcome.
What's up, Nathy? I'm glad to see Nathy's pulling his weight over there on Twitter, keeping the conversation about PSVR 2 happening every single day, putting up questions about price and everything else. It's always nice. It's always nice because a lot of people covering all sorts of different headsets are not doing the same thing. In fact, some of them are downplaying PSVR 2 considerably. In all fairness, PSVR 2, not out yet. And so people are like, oh, Quest 2 is going to be so much better than PSVR 2. Like, well, guess what? Currently, it's so much better than PSVR 2 because PSVR 2 is not out. So as much as I'm beating the PSVR 2 drum, man, I don't have it yet. So yeah, enjoy those quests, man. Enjoy those quests while you can, because I do think it'll be time to upgrade early next year. But yeah, man. So we're starting the festivities off tomorrow, I believe, at the Upload VR Showcase. That's going to be the first thing. I think it's 11. God damn, why do they do things so early in the morning? 11 a.m. Eastern, which means that we'll probably have to start our stream over here at 10:30 a.m. Eastern to do a little bit of some predictions and that kind of thing. I know, Wes, you can if you're second guessing your availability tomorrow.
Yeah. I think you just put 2 plus 2 together. Like, I really don't have anything going on tomorrow. I just don't know if I can actually wake up. It's kind of early, man.
Oh, dude.
I'm just kidding.
Trust me, I usually crawl out of bed like around noon. I was playing Gradius 2 until about 4 a.m. today, and for no reason whatsoever. I usually bring. I get my GPD, which I play my retro games on. I love this thing. This Win 3 GPD. It's fucking the greatest device ever made, and I've just got like all my retro games on there, and I take it to bed with me every single night. And I start to play a game, and within 20 or 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm tired. And I just power it down and like turn over and fall asleep. And last night, man, I was so into Gradius 2. I'm like, I'm going to fucking beat this game. I can do it. And next thing I knew, it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, shit. So now my sleep schedule is all screwed up, and I didn't get out of bed till like noon today. So tomorrow is going to be a struggle. I know. I live a hard life. Everybody feel bad for me. The life of a VR YouTuber. Trust me, I also hear the words as they're coming out of my mouth and realize how ridiculous they sound. Trust me, I'm with you guys on the other side of this video. I'm with all of you. Hasib Mirza with the $5 tip says, could eye tracking open up the possibility for games without controllers, making them accessible for pretty much everyone? Am I wrong in thinking that controllers actually make accessibility easier for people with less mobility? Because all you have to do is kind of move your hand slightly, use analog sticks, tap some buttons in order to create these bigger motions in games and in VR.
I think what he's alluding to, I mean, what he must be alluding to are people who are literally, either like paraplegics or people who've had limb amputations, these sorts of people. And it has been actually rather a rather welcome trend during the last gen of VR that we're seeing more and more games. I don't know so much on PlayStation, but on Steam, that have like a one-handed mode for people who can only have use of one of their hands. So I don't think, I wouldn't expect controller-less games to become the norm. I certainly would consider it to be a possibility in very certain specialized use cases. It would obviously, it wouldn't be the most complex game in the world that you could control only with your eyes, but there are certainly games out there that I feel like, being able to track gaze and blinks, that's enough input, right? So yeah, I certainly think it's a possibility. But even like with the onset of controllerless hand tracking, which is another trend that we've seen over the last year, something starting
to
clarify, gain a little traction.
That's kind of where my head was at when we were talking about the question to begin with. I was thinking controllerless hand tracking, and he was saying eye tracking just to play the entire game, and I was like, sorry, I was somewhere else. I apologize, and I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Right. Oh no, it's fine. Basically, I've tried some of these hand tracking games, and they are getting better. But if you want a rich, immersive gaming experience, at least within the technology that's available today, controllers are necessary. We have to have buttons. There's not enough input just through visual cues. So there are some very good, especially some of the upcoming games that are wave shooters and things of that sort that have you shooting with your fingers. There's some very fun games coming up that use just your hands. But it's the type of stuff that typically is a palate cleanser. It's not a main course type of game that you really want to sink your teeth into. The type of stuff that makes us PlayStation gamers, right? The type of experiences that we come to the PlayStation ecosystem for are not the type of games that you can control with your just your eyes or even just your hands. We need inputs, Brian, and that's one of the things that's most exciting for a lot of people about the next generation of VR is that we're finally getting proper controllers. So I don't see us putting them down anytime soon.
Mash Daddy Cool with the $5 tip says, great show, fellas. Thank you very much, Eric. We also get Diz the Game Cat with the $5 tip says, how do you plan to cover all the PSVR 2 titles with 20 plus games coming at launch? We don't really know, unfortunately. I wish I had a really planned out answer for you, but I will say that, without Parole kind of, and meaning mostly me, rolls by the seat of their pants and just kind of take each day as it comes, and hopefully we'll be in a position by that time where I can pay Wes or pay Miles or pay AJ to help with the workload a little bit, be like doing some freelance and covering games and doing some reviews. But right now we have no idea. We also don't know if we're getting, we'd be super fortunate to get headsets pre-launch, right, from Sony. I don't feel as though that's a thing. And then getting keys from big developers isn't something that I'm all too familiar with. I've certainly gotten Skyrim and a few other games early, but certainly not a week or two early in order to get reviews done. So developing relationships with these bigger companies is going to be important, and also something that will take time. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Well, I'm sure all I care about is that we're going to have plenty of stuff to talk about for a really, really long time once PSVR 2 gets here, because we've certainly had some PSVR 1 dry spells. So what do we expect to see during the Upload VR showcase tomorrow? I think the one thing, other than seeing all the logos of the people, developers who will be there, or sponsoring the stream, like Fast Travel Games. The only thing that we know specifically, I think Jamie was on Twitter saying that there won't be any PSVR 2 games there specifically, meaning none of the trailers are going to end with PSVR 2 logos, right? So likely we'll see games that, hey, there's new games here that we haven't heard of before. Maybe some of them coming to PSVR 1, and then potentially some of them will also be PSVR 2 titles down the road. But what do we, other than that kind of standard, rhetoric, what do we really expect to see?
Well, I mean, I know that Jamie Feltham is pumping this up as a significant event, so I expect to be excited when it's over. And we do know a couple things that are coming. I think 10th Riders is going to be there with something. Fast Travel Games, obviously a sponsor, has said that we'll learn what's next from them tomorrow. Whether that means something they're developing or something they're publishing, I don't know. But we'll learn what's next from them. What I'm most excited for is we're going to see more from Hubris, which is one of the more impressive things I played last year, was the demo for the upcoming title, Hubris. That's probably what I'm looking forward to the most. But in general, I expect the mid majors to be on display tomorrow. And by that I mean the major indies. Your Servioses, your Fast Travel Games, your Vertigo games. We could see some more after the fall stuff tomorrow, or maybe even what's next from Vertigo. We know that they have another 3 titles that they're working on, so we could get some kind of hint about what that could be. I don't expect to see any Sony exclusives. I don't expect to see any Oculus exclusives. Obviously they're going to save that stuff for their own showcases, but I think all or most of the mid majors will be in attendance to give us a peek into what they're doing. So very much looking forward to the Upload Showcase, probably as much for this one than any other one that has come before.
Yeah, I'm super curious to see what Fast Travel Games has for us, because I know I've personally been very, very critical about their direction over the last few years. They kind of killed it out of the gate with Apex Construct, and that was sort of the they set a certain bar for VR adventures, I think, with that title, and then never actually exceeded their own bar. I feel like even with Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife, they didn't even meet the standards of their first game in terms of scope, or even storytelling or replayability, or just so many parts of it. It felt like it didn't live up to the original game they had made, and so I know I've been critical of them, but in the back of my mind, and I've been saying this very publicly, so it hasn't been too far in the back of my mind, that I kind of felt like these, Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets and Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife were sort of filler titles to keep the income rolling in while they were developing something bigger, right? They've been around for a long time, and they're a studio that's been growing and growing. And to see that Wraith was the game they sort of followed up Apex Construct with was, to me, disheartening, being like, the studio hasn't grown the way that I thought they were growing. And so I really hope that this is one of their chances to show something maybe a little bit more impressive. And I know that we differ on our opinion of Wraith, Wes, but can we at least agree that the scope of Wraith was not even as large as Apex Construct?
Well, I can agree with that, but the reason being, I think that Apex Construct is underrated, not only as a game, but in terms of the impact that it had on games that followed it. They were kind of the first game to use that style of inventory system that we see in so many games today, including Saints and Sinners and many others. It's kind of the default, inventory system that you see in a lot of games now. And they were kind of the first to do that, and beyond that, the path that they carved as a archery based adventure, they were kind of one of the first to do that. And then the storytelling in that game, the voice acting, top notch as well. Although there's not a lot of characters that you're interacting with, the voice work in that game is top notch. So I think they were pioneers in a lot of ways with Apex Construct. And while I do vehemently disagree with you on the quality level of Wraith, I think it's fair to say that that it didn't quite live up to Apex Construct. But in saying that, again, I think Apex Construct's vastly underrated today.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I've been sort of trying to recruit people for episodes of Why We Love. And I think maybe you and I need to either do an episode of After the Fall or Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife. And that way our Patreon supporters can watch us duke it out for an hour. I think maybe we need to do that. Maybe we need to do both of them.
Well, sure. I'm down for whatever. You know me, bro. I'm down for whatever. But as I have said before, I'm not really willing to die on the After the Fall cross, man. Like,
that's fine.
That game, dude, I went into that one last night and it was a fucking shit show. It was so bad. I was in there for almost 3 hours just to get one run complete. I mean, the thing kept dropping us. Oh man, it was terrible. Like we couldn't get partied up. We got partied up pretty quickly the first time. It was myself, my wife, my son, and Eric, who's in the chat. My wife, Eric, if he's still in the chat, will attest to this. But we got in there. We immediately got into a game pretty quickly, and then Eric dropped out, and for whatever reason, his game crashed. So we restarted, did it again, same thing again. So he restarts his computer. We changed to a different host, and when we get back in this time, like, people were joining my party, like randoms were joining our party without invites, just like so-and-so joined your party. And then I started having like trouble. Like we ended up getting back in a game, but like for 2 or 3 times in a row, like as soon as we would load in, I would freeze. Like my thing would freeze. It would tell me that something was unresponsive or something like that, but it wouldn't let me click the button to go back to the hub. It would just freeze. So I restarted my computer, and then we all just restarted our stuff, went back into the lobby, and then we had this period where like I could send party invites out, but like my wife would join the party, my son would join the party, but then Eric joined and would kick them from the party. And then I would send them invites again, and then when they would join, it would kick Eric out. And we could just never get partied up, and eventually we said, all right, one last go. Eric switched off from PC and went to Quest standalone. And we said, one more try, and if this doesn't work, man, it's like 1 a.m., we're done. We're not doing this anymore. And we finally got a game to load in, and we actually made it all the way through the level and won on Master. I unlocked a new weapon, which was all great. You know, I got the Tommy gun, got a couple of attachments for it. That was exciting. But, you know, who's to say if that's even going to be in my inventory when I get back? Because I've had it happen before where I get stuff, and then the next time when I go in, my inventory is just cleaned out and I don't have any guns. So while we disagree on the merits, the merits of the game concept, we are in full, complete lockstep agreement that this is inexcusable jank from a company of this size and stature. Literally, it's half the time I go in, there's game-breaking jank. So, yeah, there's my rant on that.
Excellent. Yeah, it's crazy that like I really haven't experienced too many bugs or glitches. I mean, I certainly have. We've had problems getting matches together, but nothing nearly along the lines of that. It's really just the core concept of the game and the gameplay loop itself and what you're unlocking is my big complaint. I don't want to. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because we certainly have done this many times before, and I feel like we're just beating a dead horse. But what do you think? What do you think Vertigo could be showing tomorrow? You think
Metro VR? That's what I think. I think that's the next thing we're going to see from them. Of the major IPs that Koch Media has access to, and for those of you who don't know, Vertigo was picked up last year or maybe even the year before by Koch Media. There was Metro, and what was the other one? It was like Saints Row, I think, the other one that they own. I think Metro is probably the best fit for VR, and probably given Vertigo's background, they seem like the go-to who you would want to get to do a Metro game. So I think if we were to see something new from them tomorrow, it would be a Metro VR game. I would not expect that to happen, though. I expect most likely we'll see something from season 2 of After the Fall tomorrow. It's probably the most likely scenario.
I'm with you. That sounds way more likely. Maybe some more horde maps, maybe some more harvest runs, maybe who knows what kind of skins we can unlock. So, I think Matthew Longo says, I don't trust these guys with Metro. I mean, no offense to Vertigo. I don't trust them with very much at the moment. I think they've got a long way to go. I was scared when I saw the connection that were like Dead Island and Vertigo were like on the same page at one point. I was like, oh, please don't do this to me.
That's what it was.
Because I have a special,
I
have a special place in my heart for Dead Island 1. I got that game at midnight. I didn't care what the reviews were going to say. The reviews pretty much slammed it, and I loved every second of Dead Island. And I've been waiting for Dead Island 2 ever since, and I'm really hoping it's a PSVR 2 game, PSVR 2 compatible. It's only been in development for like 72 years. You'd think they would have time to implement it, so we'll see about that. My question is, I love seeing the Alchemy Labs logo on the Upload Showcase because I don't know if it's too soon for them to reveal another game because they just put out Cosmonious High. Is it possible, Wes, that we could maybe see Cosmonious High or other PSVR 1 games at tomorrow's showcase? Being like, hey, for everybody who's still playing PSVR 1, we actually have some news for you.
PSVR has been kind to Alchemy, from what I understand. Job Simulator remains among the best-selling titles on the platform. And if I had to pick a studio who might still have some interest in developing for PSVR in 2022, Alchemy certainly would be toward the top of that list. I think it's certainly a possibility. I think fans of their prior work will probably love Cosmonious High. In my opinion, it's their best work. Not that I'm a fan of Job Simulator, Vacation Simulator, but I thought Vacay Simulator was better than Job. I think this is about that. I think this is about that much better than Vacation Simulator. So
nice.
We certainly could see it. There's certainly nothing going on in that game that Move controllers can't handle. So yeah.
Okay, I've been curious about this one, and the second they didn't announce it for PSVR 1, it fell immediately off my radar, and I've got a bad habit of doing that. I like games, I just completely forget about them the second they don't seem like they're coming out for us. I've also seen that Twilight Zone. Why did the publisher just escape me? Because I know it's being made by Pocket Money Studios or Pocket Money Games.
It's Fun Train.
Thank you, Fun Train. They've been tweeting saying that they're going to be revealing some stuff, right? And so are they going to be, have they officially said they're at the Upload Showcase, or are they just hinting at that?
I don't know, but I know they've got two fairly high-profile games in development between the Twilight Zone game and then the upcoming Exorcist game, which is a co-op, story-driven, we all know what Exorcist Legion VR was. Love it. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to do that with friends now. So I don't know which one could be coming up, but I do think that it is likely that we see something from them tomorrow.
Yeah, part of me kind of thinks that Exorcist Legion VR 2 Sin, I don't think they're calling it 2, they're just calling it Sin. Safety in numbers is what they're saying Sin stands for, which I think is kind of cute. But ultimately, I feel like that teaser was just to kind of gauge interest, and they slapped the PSVR 1 and PSVR 2 tags on their tweets, and I really think it was to gauge interest. I don't think that they had even started development, and again, that it was strange for them to do what they did because they didn't contact Wolf and Wood, who made the original Exorcist Legion VR. They just were like, hey, we're just going to make this game because we published the last one. And I think Pocket Money Studios is making that one too. And Pocket Money doesn't have like the most amazing track record. So the fact that they've got two PSVR games or two VR games in development kind of simultaneously, I'm like, what happened over there? Like Wolf and Wood proved that they were a decent studio, and you just ripped this away from them. I'm a little curious.
Well, dude, this is kind of becoming a pattern for Fun Train. I mean, they developed Tarzan with Stone Punk Studios on PC, which is a solid indie developer. Not the biggest team in the world, but they do solid work. But then they took that And not that it was the greatest game of all time on PC, but it worked. It wasn't very janky. They took it and they handed it off to, I think, VR Monkey or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they just made a wreck out of it, not only on PlayStation, but on Quest as well. So yeah, it's like Fun Train has a revolving door of developers that they deal with. And anytime they get one that's solid, they just move on to another one that has a shitty track record. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there with that, but I am excited for both titles that they have coming up. Hopefully Pocket Money can do well with the work that Fun Train is bringing them these days.
I will say, as much as I was disparaging VR Monkey when Tarzan first came to PSVR in a super rough state, I was like, you guys like ruined this game. They fixed it. And since then they've ported Wraith, they've ported Yuki and Windlands 2, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, and so and
Wow.
they've all been amazing ports. So VR Monkey, like, were really, it seemed like they were finding their way with the Tarzan VR port, and then found their way and basically able to carbon copy these games from the PC or Quest versions and bring them over to PSVR pretty much flawlessly. So hats off to them. They've also got a game called Galaxy Karts in the works, which doesn't look shockingly all that good, but it's yet another kart racer, and we still haven't gotten like a 100% solid kart racer on PSVR. So Galaxy Karts is planning on coming to PSVR 1 sometime this year. Hopefully all that experience porting other people's games have taught them some lessons. And maybe who knows, man, we could see Galaxy Karts tomorrow, right? I don't know. Probably.
I don't know. Maybe. I guess anything's possible, right?
Anything's possible.
Shout out VR Monkey, by the way. Good work. I had no idea that they were responsible for all these awesome ports. So my bad if I didn't give them the credit that they properly deserve. Apparently, they're much more. There's much more talent there than I had given them credit for. So.
I mean, they also made Viking Days, so don't give them too much credit yet. Sorry, VR Monkey, gotta poke people whenever possible. Gatorade 23, the H2O can't read, despising game cat, $10 tip says, out of all the things to be excited about with PSVR 2, drift elimination is the one I'm most excited for, probably because shooters are my go-to. Man, they just need to show an aim 2.0 controller now, and then we'll all get fucking real excited, right?
I certainly would. People keep saying gunstock. Bro, I've used gunstocks. Trust me, you want an aim 2.0.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Gunstocks just don't work, man. There's a process, right? You put your controllers in, you calibrate it. There's a bunch of bullshit. It's the type of stuff that you do if you're a PC gamer that you don't have to do if you're a console gamer. So, hopefully, I would take a gun stock over nothing. But if I had my druthers, it would be AIM 2.0.
Pizza No Cheese with the $5 tip says, keep up the good work. This is Big Show. Uh-oh. Big Show's kind of a notorious troll. A friendly troll, at least. He says, I changed my name because cheese is nasty. I don't know if we can be friends, Pizza No Cheese. I hope PSVR 2 will look as good as Oculus games do. Yep, and there's the troll. So thank you so much for stopping by, Pizza No Cheese. Are you being hailed?
I'm sorry for interrupting you, Brian, but I'm having something going on here with my power that's shooting my monitor off, and I'm afraid it's going to cut me off here. So bear with me just a moment. I'm going to stand up. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
All right. Okay, what did Wes do when I walked away to get coffee? Because I have no idea what to do when I'm here by myself. Okay,
sorry about that. I don't know. My air conditioner started doing some weird stuff, and when it did, it made my lights flicker, and it made my monitor completely shut down, and it kept doing it. And I was afraid it was going to completely shut me down here, so I went and adjusted that a little bit. Hopefully that'll take care of whatever the problem is.
I had
to interrupt.
No, dude. I mean, come on, man. This is a laid back, casual show. No one prepares to be here. No one expects anything to work properly. It's without parole, man. Duct tape and coat hangers, right? And with the way things are going, we need more coat hangers than ever. So let's get a couple more predictions out of the way, man, because we talked a lot about the Upload VR showcase that's happening tomorrow. But between the Upload VR showcase tomorrow, we're also streaming. I'm an official co-streamer, and again, thank you for the support on this, guys. But I don't think it's a big deal. I think anybody who's signed up got to be an official co-streamer for Summer Game Fest. And so we'll be streaming both of those events tomorrow, one at 11 a.m. and one at 2 p.m. I think that's how that works, with a 30-minute pre-show for each one. And then, of course, the Capcom showcase is happening next week as well. What do you think? Like, where do you think some of these big games are going to land? Do you think we're going to see more PSVR 2 stuff? Are we in the dark on PSVR 2 until September, like Miles thinks? Where are you standing with all this? And when do you think they're going to reveal some of their next heavy hitters for PSVR 2?
I think that there is a real possibility that we could see something tomorrow because of Jeff Keighley and who he is and the alliances that he's made. Notably, good friends with Valve. Notably, good friends with Mr. Kojima. Even Hassan Karaman. Good friends with Jeff Keighley, or at least acquaintances, to say the least. I think if we see any VR during the Summer Games Fest tomorrow, that it will be PlayStation VR 2 related. And, I said it last week. I'm going to stick by it this week. I think this is the most likely spot that we get some sort of a tease of Half-Life Alyx VR. I think that very well, PSVR, Half-Life Alyx VR, Half-Life Alyx PSVR. I think that tomorrow is the most likely stage for that one. So, I wouldn't say that it's a likely thing, but I think that if we see VR, that it's going to be very good news for those of us who are PSVR gamers.
Yeah, Matthew Longo in the chat says Jeff tried to temper expectations, so don't expect too much. He did. He went on Twitter and said, "Hey, most of what we're going to show are games that have already been announced, right?" And so, but what's funny is about that is that I feel like that message doesn't apply to us because I think that people like Jeff Keighley and the mainstream video game media don't look at VR as big news. Even PSVR 2, they go, oh, this is for a very small niche community of the gaming population. And so, like, even if there was like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, which I guarantee you there won't be, I'm sure it's just a couple announcements at most, of PSVR 2 games there, that they would still temper our expectations and say, oh, don't worry, because that just doesn't appeal to very many people. It appeals to us, but outside of our community and outside of the upload community and that kind of stuff, in the virtual strangers community, I don't know who else I can rope into this. It just there's not a huge audience for it. So despite the fact that like recent analysts claim that Quest 2 have sold upwards of 15 million units, which, by the way, analysts have never been right about anything ever. So let's clarify that. I have huge doubt in my mind that 15 million. Dude, okay, listen. I'm sorry to derail the conversation. I'm not sorry because I'm sort of irritated about this. Don't you think that if Oculus, Facebook had sold 15 million Quest 2 headsets, they'd be jumping up and down screaming about that?
I don't know. I honestly can't say one way or another what their theory and philosophy is on sharing those types of sales figures. They never have. I mean, even before Quest. What I will say is this. Since the launch of Quest 2, since Walmart started carrying Oculus headsets, this is a place I go weekly. And every time I go there, I'll walk down the VR aisle. Yes, there's a VR aisle at Walmart now. PlayStation VR and Oculus Quest. I always go and check the stock just to see what it's doing. And, when Quest 2 first launched, it was like 3 or 4 months that they couldn't keep them on the shelves. You can get them now, but they're still selling. Like, I'll go in one day and there'll be 8 of them. I'll go back in the next week and there'll be 3. The next week I'll go in, there'll be none. And then I'll come back the next week and there'll be 8 all over again.
So the stock's moving.
Subsequently,
anecdotally, at least.
Yeah, people are buying them, and I can tell you stories about people who I know in my personal life who I got one.
Same, absolutely, same.
Yeah, people are buying them. I don't know exactly what that equates to in terms of numbers, but yeah, this is a hot ticket item. It's the first VR product that has permeated into the mainstream consciousness, thanks to, LeBron James playing VR and people doing Beat Saber on Jimmy Fallon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people know about it now and people want it, and it's affordable and it's easy to use. So I don't doubt that they've sold 10 million of these. I don't know. 15 might be a little bit generous, considering that, as far as we know, PSVR didn't make it to 6, right? Last we heard, it was like 5.1. But yeah, I would fully expect, with the kind of exposure and mainstream, mainstream attention that it's gotten, that it would have doubled up on what PSVR 1 did. Again, at a lower price point,
right?
Much lower when you consider the console. Yeah. I mean, 10 million doesn't seem too far fetched for me, right. But we don't know.
And it does. I mean, and this isn't a bad thing. Like, and just because I don't believe the numbers, right? Just because I don't believe it, because again, I do think that Facebook would be screaming about this. I think it's a good thing. I do think it's a great thing. I hope they sell, 25 million by the end of the year, because that means that there are that many more people interested in VR by the time PSVR 2 rolls around. I think the more there's, what's the expression? A rising tide lifts all ships, something like that. It's like that's yep. So good for the industry. That means the VR adoption is higher than it's ever been. So, like, I may come across as like, oh, Brian hates Quest, even though he plays Walkabout every day, but it's just not true. I'm just looking forward to PSVR 2 more than whatever Oculus is doing, and I'm really happy that this is happening and that they are selling and that the numbers are good. So the last thing I want to talk about before we move on from this topic, which we're not talking about anymore, but we are talking about again, is that Capcom did say we're going to see more of Resident Evil 4 during their showcase next week. Is that Monday? God, I have my dates all screwed up.
That is Monday.
So, and they said they're going to do 35 minutes of not new announcements. They're just going to cover games that they've already announced. And so, like, more footage, more whatever. And one of the big things, Wes, that we were all very concerned about, well, some of us more than others, was at the end of the Resident Evil 2, at the end of the Resident Evil 4 remake trailer, there was an image and some text that said, PlayStation VR 2 content in development. And we're all like, what the hell does that mean? We don't know what that means. And so, do you think on Monday that could be something we'll see explained?
I kind of hope not. And follow me here for a moment. We're kind of theorizing. One theory about why there's been this weird silence regarding that statement and how it's been cut out of the trailers, and the blog post doesn't mention VR support. One of the theories is AJ's theory, and that is that there's going to be VR support for the full game. They're just treading on thin ice with regards to exclusivity agreements, poking Facebook, a calculated poke at them, and then, take it off the internet, erase as well as you can. So if they were to not address this on Monday, it kind of keeps that theory alive, doesn't it? That maybe we are getting the full game. Maybe it is just an exclusivity thing and not just poor wording on the part of the Capcom marketing people. So I'm not so sure I want to hear more about it. I don't think that they could tell me exactly what I want to hear, I guess is a better way of saying that. Not right now, anyway. I
mean, I'm a little concerned that they're not going to tell me what I want to hear either, because the wording of it isn't good. The wording of it certainly implies that it's not the full game. That said, if you guys saw PSVR this week, or if you saw Bad Robo on Twitter, I know Petrifying Pumpkins made a video about it. If you slow down the video, you certainly see all of these different shots from Resident Evil 4. In first person, which with what looks like, and it could just be an effect to kind of give it like a spookier look, but it does look like foveated rendering. It does look like there's different focal points on the screen for eye tracking, and in the fact that it all looks like it's in first person and from different parts of the game certainly lends credibility to the fact that it might not just be a mercenaries mode, unless you have mercenaries mode taking place in all these different parts of the game, which is totally a possibility.
Yeah, Mercenaries, the Mercenaries as it stands on Quest right now, and I didn't play the original, so I don't know how it was. But there's like six different large areas that you can unlock and play in Mercenaries, and they are areas from the main campaign. And this has always kind of been in my opinion, the best argument for the entire campaign coming is because if they do the Mercenaries, which is really the only, if you're talking about content that's not the full game, it would have to be the Mercenaries. But if they're doing the Mercenaries, like literally half the work of bringing the full campaign in is done because all those big map areas are going to be in there, all the enemies are going to be in there, all the weapons, all the stuff that you need, save like the cinema sequences, is going to be done. So it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them to do one without doing the other. And I kind of think that's what's got me leaning toward AJ's theory being correct, that we are actually getting the full game when it comes down to it. Although I don't think that it'll be a launch title the way that March date suggests. A lot of people speculating that could be the PSVR 2 launch date and that they're going to launch Cohen's. I don't think so. I don't think that they'd launch Village and 4 together, and I do think Village will be a launch title. So I don't think that 4 will be.
Agreed. I do think that they'll cannibalize their sales if they do it that way. Because I desperately want Resident Evil 2, 3, Village, and 7 all there to PSVR 2 launch. First-person modes with the Sense controllers, 4K visuals, the whole thing. But the only way I see that working in Capcom's favor is to say, hey, here's a bundle. And we're gonna give you a discount if you've been holding off on all these games. You've been holding off on for PSVR 2, and we're going to and give some and make it super cheap for you to get in. Like $100, $120, something like that to get in all 4 games. Or say, hey, it's just like a $10 or $20 upgrade fee if you already own these games, something along those lines. Anything that they could do to make it seem like, hey, buying all these at the same time is a really good idea. Other than that, it does seem like they would be cannibalizing their sales. But, there's ways around it. Make a bundle. I'm down. I would buy the bundle. I'd buy 2 bundles. I'll buy you a bundle. Let's buy everybody a bundle because, God damn it, we need these games in VR.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly agree. That big, what's the name of the big bad in Resident Evil 2 and 3?
I mean,
the guy that chases you and busts through walls. Nemesis, yeah, that thing is intimidating inside a headset. So I'd love to see a properly developed VR version of that. That would be incredible.
Agreed. Wes, we were definitely running long, and so I think our secondary topic will have to wait for another show. Do you have any other predictions? Things that we'll see before we wrap this up? I know that we could probably talk all day about this.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not one for making predictions without a good reason for them. So I really know. I have no idea. I predict that we're all going to be very excited by the end of our broadcast tomorrow. And I don't know necessarily if that means that we're getting something from the Games Fest or not, but I do think the upload showcase is going to be quality. I believe Jamie in the hype that he's putting out there. I don't think that it's bravado or marketing. I think that he's being honest, and I think that we're going to be off to a very good start tomorrow. We're going to start the thing off very, very drowsy and sleepy, but we're going to be wide awake by the end of it. And that's my bold prediction for tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah, so I will say that as far as Game Fest goes, so you can believe who you want to believe. As you guys know, like I trust people until I have no reason to trust them. And so I've put a little bit of faith into Raytheon, and put a little bit of faith into Robert Serrano, put a little bit of faith into all these different leakers. And soon we're going to find out if that faith is misplaced or not. And then I can unfollow them and move on with my life. But Robert Serrano put out a pretty detailed list of all the things that were going to be shown at Summer Game Fest. And one of those things was God of War Ragnarok. And so, in my opinion, if Sony is willing to put something as big as Ragnarok, like basically their biggest first-party AAA title of the year, not in their own show, but in Summer Game Fest, then couldn't they also do something as big as, say, Gran Turismo 7's PSVR 2 mode. Like that to me is one of those. We've been calling it a no-brainer for a while. We've been saying it's a given, just as much as we've been saying Resident Evil Village was a given. But I feel like, and I don't want to phrase this the wrong way, I've seen more than one comment from people saying, "Oh, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, Saints and Sinners, all zombie games, right? So far they've only shown me No Man's Sky and Horizon Call of the Mountain." And for a lot of people, I know that that's a sentiment that's true, that they relate to, and they say, "Well, I don't care about scary games, or I don't like scary games, or I'm so sick of zombies." And so I think you show something like Gran Turismo 7 in VR, and you go, okay, now we're starting to diversify our lineup. Now we're starting to show people like, hey, like look at these photorealistic tracks. Look how amazing this game that got off to a little bit of a rocky start with microtransactions. This is kind of a way to say, hey, like let's patch things up a little bit and show people like the future of this game and how amazing it's going to be.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if they announced the $20 Gran Turismo 7 VR DLC? People would lose their shit, man. It would be hilarious. It would be like the worst thing ever for PlayStation VR, but it would be kind of comical.
It would be the worst thing ever,
seriously.
but I would still pay for it, and I would laugh the whole way. I'd be like, you guys are fucking terrible, and here's all my money.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But seriously, though, I mean, Sony is a sponsor of the Summer Games Fest. Am I correct about that?
Yes, and that's why State of Play was labeled a Summer Game Fest event.
Yeah. Right. So I don't see them doing that as a, out of charity for Jeff Keighley and his post E3 world that he's building. I think that they're buying real estate, right? They're buying eyeballs from that man, and he has quite a few of them on him. So do we believe that Sony is ready to promote VR? If so, then it stands to reason that we're going to see something tomorrow, right? They're going to continue to build upon the foundation that they laid last week, and they're going to continue to build upon it throughout the summer and into the fall, all the way through next year. So if you think about it that way, it seems fairly likely that we're going to see something exciting tomorrow.
Agreed. All right, let's get a couple tips out of the way, and then we'll break into some 20 questions and get this show on the road, man. We got Snafu with the $2 tip, says, could VR support, and he's talking about the Resident Evil 4 content, mean DualShock or DualSense only? So, in other words, lacking features. I think this would be a bad move if that's the case. Just a really bad move.
Yeah, especially if you're going to follow up a full-on version of Village with all the bells and whistles. You're going to give me a mode that puts me in the game, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure it would be fine. It would be fun, great even. But following up on a full VR port of Village that uses all the bells and whistles that come on the PSVR 2 headset, it would seem lackluster in comparison and a silly business move on the part of Capcom. And would Sony even want to pay for that? I don't think so. So, possible,
Wes,
but unlikely.
If you could ask those bells and whistles to stop coming on the PSVR 2 headset, we'd appreciate that.
Okay, I'll put the message out there.
Thank you.
But they won't necessarily listen to me.
They won't. They just come wherever they want to. I think that it would be sending a bad message right off the bat, because I think Sony wants to differentiate not the PSVR 2 not only from PSVR 1, but also from just the VR industry as a whole right now. I think they're trying to sort of rewrite the narrative and say, here are AAA games that are playable in VR. Here are AAA games that are developed for specifically VR, and this is how we want these games to look and play and feel. And doing things with the DualSense, I can understand doing Astrobot with the DualSense because platformers feel good like that. But when you're doing something in first-person VR and you don't have the Sense controllers enabled, it just seems like you're tremendously stepping in the wrong direction right out of the gate. I think it's a horrible, horrible move if that was the case, and I don't think that's why they wouldn't do it. I think, just like, Wes, I don't know if you and I have had a chance to talk about this Modern Warfare quote-unquote leak, right, from Ralph Valve, from What If Gaming. Ralph Valve apparently is super super notable for being accurate about Call of Duty leaks. And his leak about Modern Warfare 2 was that there would be a PlayStation VR 2 specific mode included at launch, free to play or free to download. And as much as people got excited about that, I think, again, just like if they were to just give us a mode in Resident Evil 4, or just not give us full sense control support in Resident Evil 4, again, sending the wrong message. You don't want experiences. You don't want modes. You don't want whatever. You want the full game playable in VR. Otherwise, you're sending the wrong message. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm all for demos. If there's a full game that you can buy when you're done with them, I don't want a demo that's just a tech demo. But again, in many ways, this is kind of more than a sequel. This is kind of like a do-over for Sony with VR. It's kind of like they're starting from scratch. So again, as we've said many, many times, it isn't us that they're trying to win over. So if they feel like they can win over some flat gamers by putting a Call of Duty experience out there for free, maybe they do it. Maybe it's something that they want to put in GameStop somewhere so that people can put on the headset and and play their favorite game, even if just for a few minutes in the headset. But I completely agree with you. Like guys like us, I mean, what's that really going to do for us? Nothing. So I hope that. Well, let me ask you, Brian. Would you rather just there be nothing, or would you rather there be an impressive 20-minute tech demo that's in Call of Duty world?
Okay, I cannot take credit for this, even in the slightest. But here we go. Here's what I hope: Warzone is a free-to-play Call of Duty game, super popular, right? And Warzone 2 is coming out, launching alongside of Modern Warfare 2. I'm hoping that Ralph Valve got his wires crossed. And the credit for this conspiracy theory, as he says, tinfoil hat theory, goes to my friend Rypop, one of our moderators over on Discord and here. And the hope would be, hey, if you're talking about it as a free downloadable thing to play for all PlayStation users, it would make way more sense if it was Warzone 2, right? And then fully playable in VR. And I really hope that the wires get crossed, and that's what's happening, and that it just has nothing to do with Modern Warfare 2. And then we got our game. We got our free-to-play game with microtransactions.
Or maybe, I mean, if we're going on this theory that the guy got his wires crossed, maybe this Call of Duty game, whether it be one or the other, maybe it's a very large file, and for whatever reason, it makes sense to have the VR content split off from the original game file. So maybe there's like a free DLC that makes the full game into a VR game. Maybe that's something. Maybe that's its own SKU on the store that's free. Again, we're just hypothesizing here on what
for sure
the case could be with it. But yeah, I hope you're right. However they get to it, I think a full game would be the preferable way for most people. One more thing before we move on from it, though. I just want to say one thing about this idea of playing PSVR 2 games with the original DualSense controller. We got to get past this sort of thinking. There will not be any games that use DualSense controller. And the reason why is because the thing's going to come with the Sense controllers, right? And now I'm not saying there won't be gamepad style controls, but any VR game is going to use the VR controllers, even if you don't have hand presence. There was a need to use DualSense in the Gen 1 because it provided thumbsticks and other things that the Move controllers didn't provide. In this generation, the Sense controllers are literally just a DualSense that's broken in half. So I don't think there's going to... I can't foresee any scenario that they would actually want to use the DualSense controller. They can't track it at all, which cuts down on the functionality. And everything that you can do on that controller, you can do in the included controllers. So when people start asking about games designed for DualSense, I just don't think that's going to be a thing at all.
Well, okay, so It all really depends. Like I feel like there could be games for the DualSense, but the fact is that I think we're getting ourselves out of a really bad rut that the PSVR 1 put us in. With the PSVR 1, everybody who had a PSVR 1 had a DualShock 4 because it came in the box with the PlayStation 4. But not everybody had Move controllers. And so everybody, for years, people were like, should I buy Move controllers? Should I buy Move controllers? Do I need Move controllers to play? Should I buy an aim controller? And then suddenly you have three different controller types to support. And it really, I think, caused a schism, within our own community, people who are like, oh, I only play games with moves. I only play games with DualShock 4. I can only afford to play games that don't have move support because it costs $100 to buy a new set of moves. And so I think this alleviates those problems out of the gate. And so to create those problems again seems silly for no reason. That said, everybody should have both controllers because the DualSense comes in the box with the PlayStation 5 and the Sense controllers will come in the box with the PlayStation VR 2. And so you should have both those available to you. The only thing I'm going to say is that if PlayStation VR 2 has backwards compatibility and uses light tracking, the DualSense has a light bar on the front of it that could be tracked by the headset.
Little tiny sliver of light. I suppose it is there.
It is. I don't know, man. I don't know. Conspiracy theories are fun. I don't know. We get a couple more tips, and then we'll get to 20 questions, I swear. Wagreaver. Is that how you pronounce that? Wagreaver. I feel like I'm going to say something bad if I pronounce it the wrong way. With the 4.5 quid, says, love the show, guys. Thank you, Wagreaver. Really helps listening to the podcast. Oh, don't forget, we're available on podcast services of your choice. And people are starting to listen to them, too, which is pretty cool. Don't forget, we're the #1 PSVR podcast in the world. He says, what do you guys think about the odds that Rush of Blood 2 will come to PSVR 2? Wes?
Man, I don't know. I know I have heard and read that there was some kind of falling out between Supermassive and Sony at some point during the last generation. But I know money heals all wounds. I also know that there's new people in charge at Sony now. It's not the same group that it was last time. I mean, some of the same people are still around.
Right.
But the guys in charge are different this time. So I'd put it at 50-50. It's a popular title. Most anybody who was a gamer during the first generation of PlayStation VR 1 has this on their list of favorite games. Even people that don't like horror games like this game. So, I'd put it at 50-50, although I would expect if they were to follow it up, it would be a more expansive, longer thing with more levels and, most importantly, a higher price tag.
Sony could pull a Fun Train, right? And just be like, fuck you, Supermassive. We own the Until Dawn brand. We'll just hire a different studio to make Rush of Blood 2. And then we don't have to worry because Supermassive's quality has been all over the place, right? We talked, other than Rush of Blood, like Bravo Team was terrible. The Inpatient was really, really rough. Like it just didn't come together like it was supposed to. What was the other one?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
So
they're doing the Dark Pictures anthology now. Yeah.
And then Killzone got taken away from them. So like it didn't seem like they got any better over time, right? So if Killzone was taken away from them, then Sony, I can't imagine, has like the greatest relationship with Supermassive at this point. So I would say, maybe we'll get Rush of Blood 2, and with any luck, man, I think I've said this before. I just want it to be the full amusement park. I want there to be somebody stalking you and basically forcing you onto these roller coaster rides to get away. If you've ever seen the movie, the movie whose name I just forgot as it was coming out of my mouth. It's a slasher movie that just came out a couple years ago. That takes place in an amusement park. Somebody in the chat is screaming it right now. I know they are, but I just want a game that's like that, and it would be very, very Rush of Blood-ish if they just kind of did that.
Right, just work in some more elements from like the original Until Dawn, but still keep the theme of Rush of Blood, and then of course, have wave shooter levels kind of in between the Yeah, yeah, I'm down.
Hellfest.
100% for that.
Hellfest. I just did a Google search. I'm sure somebody in the chat. Yep, there we go. Mancunian Game Cat said it. Nick Mueller said, I'm rubbing off on you, Brian. It's like, you didn't even ask my permission first, but that's okay. Geisen says Hello Fest, which is really fucking close. John Tatum. You guys are all really good at this. I don't know if you had to use Google too, but I did because I have 2 brain cells left. And by the end of today, probably 0. Not Zombieland, Joshua Taylor, but good thought. Very close. I think we got one more. We got Wag Reaver again. It says, if Sony doesn't do Twisted Metal VR, then they better do Twisted Metal VR, especially since there's a TV series happening. It'd make perfect sense. And come on, we need some vehicular combat in VR. It would be amazing to play. And again, just like Killzone, this is the way to bring the franchise back, right? Like by really kind of shoving it in your face the best way possible by putting your face in the game. Man, I can't even imagine how great that would be.
Yeah, this is a perfect opportunity for Sony to publish a cross-platform multiplayer game where VR players can play with flat players, and it just be awesome all the way around. It's a beloved franchise, and notably a game that we've heard rumors about. Rumors that I'm choosing to believe. I think we're going to get this game, Brian.
I think so too, and it's going to be awesome. Definitely down for a hybrid game. And I've said this before. I know, again, let's just go on fucking random tangents. Why not? I've said it before. I'll say it again. As much as I want to drive with one hand and shoot out the window with my other hand, that's not really what Twisted Metal's about, right? It's usually the vehicular combat involves like rocket launchers attached to the hood of the car and like different, like the cars themselves are equipped with the weapons. And so I want to have a full racing rig. And this is how I want to play. This is how I want to play Twisted Metal VR. I want to sit in my car and have my hands on the wheel and be able to look around. Like, you know, sure, there'd be a radar there on my dash. But I want to be able to look around and see where the enemies are around me and just like, you know, push buttons on my dash in order to trigger these guided missiles or machine guns or whatever the hell I've got attached to my vehicle. And I think that would still be VRAF. You know, I don't know, man. Oh, God, it sounds so good.
You and I need to play some Deathlap, my friend, because it is heavily Twisted Metal inspired, and I think that you would appreciate that the way I do.
Yeah, I bet I would. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the final tip before 20 questions says, my favorite phrase from the RE8 VR promo page is, I like this too, it's like the player themselves is the controller. I want a t-shirt with this slogan. Yeah, it's true. It's like they wrote that over on the Resident Evil website for people who have never played a VR game before. And so part of me is thinking, you know, that they are under the impression, and probably accurately, that a lot of people who are buying PSVR 2 and going to play their game for the first time have not played VR before or are not terribly familiar with VR. And I think that phrase is actually very telling. The way they worded it was kind of strange, actually, especially on the PlayStation blog post. It was even stranger. Like, people like us would just be like, oh, yeah, we know how this shit works. But it was so weird the way they phrased it. It almost made it sound like your hands weren't the controller. You have to read it sometime, and we'll talk about it some other day. Hey, Wes.
Hey, Brian.
You got a 20 questions game picked out?
I do. I
right.
Absolutely do.
We're going to play a more traditional version of PSVR 20 questions today, you guys. So make sure everybody in the chat helps me out. I need all the help I can get. You know how much I suck at this game. I've reviewed like over 350 PSVR games. I've played every single one of them that's ever come out. And for some reason, the second this game starts, I forget every game I've ever played in my entire life, except for like Eco and The Last Guardian, for some reason. But those don't work here. So I'm going to put 6 minutes up on the clock up on the counter the way that Jeremy likes it, and you guys got to help me 20 yes or no questions to figure out what game Wes is thinking of in under 6 minutes. Wes, are you ready?
I think so, although I'm sitting here reading through the controller options because I know it's one of the first things you're going to ask me about. All right. I think I know what the correct answer is, and if not, you're going to skewer me at the end. But I'm ready.
Favorite thing to do.
I'm ready as I'm going to go.
Bum, 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 bum. But I think we're live again. But
we're live.
Take YouTube a second to get caught up here. Sorry, you guys. That's how the shit goes without Parole. Everything duct tape and wire coat hangers. So, all right, Wes, let's get this show started.
Let's get this show over, Brian. Let's do it.
All right, let me put up the clock that crashed us the last time and go. I gotta go. Does this have move support?
I don't think so. No, let's say no.
Okay, so we're assuming DualShock or aim possible. We'll go with Kill Artist. Kill Artist, is this a game you would consider for a top 25 list?
It's a good game. I don't know that I would put it in my personal top 25, but certain people might. It's a good game.
Okay.
If it's a top 25 game, it'll be right around 25. Like, it's not going to be game of the year or anything.
Okay. We're going to go with Mark Pringlesleaf. Is it from a known franchise, existing IP prior to this?
I would. Prior to this game, it's from a known IP. There are other iterations of this game playable on other platforms.
Interesting. So
of this IP.
All right, you guys. So we're going to take some liberties with his answer and say it's probably available on flat screen somewhere else. It's a good game. Are you doing a lot of shooting in this game?
No, I'm not sure you do any shooting in this game.
Okay, no shooting. Somebody teach GAR how to play 20 questions. Shades of Grey Matter. Do you control vehicles in this game?
I don't think so. I don't remember controlling any vehicles in it.
No shooting, no vehicles. Okay. Sacred Grove asks, does it have full locomotion? He asked locomotive, but we know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Can't be LA Noire because we don't have cars. Oh, okay, we'll go Dan Kiefer. I like this. Can you fly in the game?
Oh, well, that is a good question.
I don't think we've asked an easy question yet. Every question we've asked.
You can. In a sense, in a way, you do fly in this game, but I would not put any thought into that. This is not a game that's in any way revolves around flying. There are sections, though, where you technically fly.
Would you consider the world cartoony?
It is absolutely cartoony.
Did this come to PSVR way later than other platforms?
Yes.
Is there multiplayer support, specifically co-op?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, I just realized I was going down the wrong path. Are there bows and arrows in this game?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's 11, by the way.
Okay, all right. Sci-fi themed?
No.
Okay, that gets rid of Red Matter, Kill Artist. No multiplayer, or no co-op especially. That's what we're going for. Serial Killer says, "Oh man, we've got a real AJ here." Is it third
I'm
person?
not trying to be.
I know he doesn't try to be either.
Person.
He's just really good at it. It's third person. Okay, guys, let's get this under control. It's probably DualShock. It's a good game ish, around number 25.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
it's been available on the flat screen before. We're assuming it's an IP that's been around. There's no shooting, no vehicles, full locomotion. You kind of fly in some sections, but don't focus on that. It's definitely cartoony in third person. Third person. Is this funny? Is there a humorous slant to this game?
maybe some light humor and character design, but it's not a comedic game.
All right, there goes Trover. Is it a platformer?
It is a platformer.
Was this made by Playful Corp?
It was made by Playful Corp.
Oh man, the Game Cats are the best. Is this by any chance Lucky's Tale?
This is Lucky's Tale, Brian. Way to go, Game Cats. Way to go, Brian Paul. You did
Thank you guys so much for all the help out there. The second we figured out it was third person, I immediately went to Merville's. And prior to that, I was heading straight down the Windlands 2 path because I was like, oh, everything seems to check out here. And then you were like, no multiplayer. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm screwed. What are we talking about?
So, like, you fly in the balloons, right? When you finish the level, you fly off in the balloon.
Yeah.
So, technically, you fly in the game, right? Now, was there a minecart level in this? Like, you asked me about vehicles, and it's been a while since I played all the way through this game. I mean, I played it recently, but only like the first 3 or 4 levels. I didn't play through all the way through it.
I mean, I played it and reviewed it recently, and I don't remember. The funny thing is it's so. I would go to bat to say no, there's no minecarts, but it's got all the traditional platforming tropes like so hard that like it's like if there was a Minecraft level, you'd be like, yeah, this fits right in here. This is just shit that happens in platformers. There's an ice level and a fire level and a water level and a green hill zone level and it's massive collectathon. Yeah, it hits all the tropes. So minecart, the fact that there wasn't a minecart is shocking, to be honest.
It's an extremely high quality yet generic platformer for VR.
True, and way better than I expected it to be. People had said, "Yo, it's pretty by the numbers, pretty generic," and I had way more fun with it than I expected to. And
that's good.
Actually, really ended up enjoying those time trials, which are almost impossible. They're ridiculous. I do want to platinum this sucker though, and I need to get back to it at some point. Time to play with GameCast says, is it on sale? Are you asking a 20 questions question, or are you just asking out of curiosity?
I hope so. If you're thinking about buying it, I hope it's on sale.
Yeah, I mean for $10.
Although I say that. Yeah, I say that in jest. It's definitely worth the $20 though. It's a solid game. There's not a ton of pure platformers in VR. Period. So I mean, you've only got really 2 or 3 I can think of on PlayStation. So it's worth $20 if you like that type of game, in my opinion.
All right, we got to get out of here, man. Running way over as always. And thank you so much for hanging out and spending so much time with me today on this beautiful West Day on the #1 PlayStation VR podcast in the entire world. Don't forget, guys, that this show is available to watch after the fact, not just live, or you can listen to it on podcast services of your choice if you don't want to stare at us for an hour and 45 minutes each and every super Westness day. Make sure you subscribe. I don't have the link in the description. I really apologize. Make sure you send some love over to Virtual Strangers. Send some West love over there, and subscribe to their channels. Subscribe to what they're doing. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €2 says there's another huge sale. Lucky's Tale is on it. There's like 3 sales going on right now, and I don't even know how I'm going to tackle that, but we'll get to it for sure. Thank you, Looper, for looking that up. So hey, worth the $20. It's probably worth it for even less. Subscribe to Wes over at Virtual Strangers. Consider hitting us up on patreon.com/withoutparolegames to get your name on that broken list down below. It is under construction. I will learn to fix it at some point, I promise, and I will get you some bonus content for the $5 plus subscribers. We love you guys oh so very much. Thank you to everybody who helps the channel run. Sci-Fi Gamecat Henry, who does all of the timestamps each and every episode. We thank you so very much for that. Also, all the moderators to make my life easy over here and over on Discord. Don't forget to join our Discord. Click the link in the description below. Thank you to everybody who tipped, keeps the channel running, who commented, helped me during 20 questions, and of course, all of you out there who sat and watched the show and didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Wes, let's get out of here.
Go.
Boom. I'm going to send you like a carton of marshmallow fluff. It's just gonna it's just gonna
It's an
show up your
acquired
door.
taste, huh?
It's gonna just show up at your door one day, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck am I gonna do with all this?" You got kids, man. Like they'll figure out something to do with it.
You know what? You know what my favorite kind of marshmallow is, Brian?
Wait.
Cereal marshmallows.
Like the ones in like Lucky Charms that are like not even real marshmallows.
Yes, exactly. I'm not a big fan of actual real marshmallows, but I could sit and eat just a bowl of cereal marshmallows in milk and be a happy camper. I absolutely love Lucky Charms and anything else. You know, I like Fruity Pebbles with marshmallows in it. Just anything I can buy.
Nice. Yeah, I love the tiny marshmallows. I mean, as much as big marshmallows are great. I love the super tiny ones that you can just like dump into your hot chocolate in the winter, and it's like an excuse
That's
just to
good.
consume massive amounts of sugar because you're like, oh, it's cold outside, so I'm going to become diabetic. I dump about as many of those as will fit into my mug. Kramer 3K says racist cereal. You know what? I don't even think I want to investigate that and explain. I think that's just a great way to end the show. Racist cereal.